I'm Guenther Braun, and I'm a grocer and a writer.
In that order?
I'm still not ready to put writer first, I don't think.
Oh, why?
I feel like I have to reach some sort of measure of success first.
So when you were growing up, I'm assuming that it would have been a more noble profession, say, in your community, or...
Yeah, I grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan, and we grew mostly wheat and canola, and we always had our own pigs and chickens and a huge garden, and we always produced our own food pretty much for our entire family of 6. And I think being that close to the food has always been a huge part of my life.
What's the company? Or?
It's called Organic Planet Worker Co-op, and it's right in the heart of Wolseley.
So you chose to move to Winnipeg. I mean, you didn't grow up here. What, I guess you're saying that the Wolseley dynamic, is that kind of been the most natural place for you to connect with the city of Winnipeg, or?
There's an interesting dynamic there, because you do have a lot of people with values that I would share in terms of social justice issues and how do we as a society and a community accommodate and work with people who have less than others. And
right.
So that, I think the Wolseley neighborhood is sort of, I think there's a dialogue there about those types of things, but there are lots of really privileged people there too.
Yeah, yeah. So if art is a conversation with the artist, typically, what kind of conversations then are you having through your art, whether it's, I mean, are you still doing spoken word poetry?
I haven't been doing very much of that lately. That was a huge part of my life from like grade 7 to, 3 years ago. But in the past 3 or 4 years, my big focus has been on finishing my novel, my first novel, which just came out in December. So
this is Somewhere Else?
Somewhere Else is what it's called. And it's a book about a 16-year-old girl who lives in rural Saskatchewan and is Mennonite, and her dad is an academic at the Mennonite University close by, and he finds out that he gets a big job. He becomes the president of the university.
Okay. And
that same Sunday she comes out to herself while she's in church. And there's this big conflict that arises within her, and with her 16-year-old logic, she decides that the best thing to do is to run away from home. So we follow her for 5 years, and so the book is, I've often described it as taking a lot of emotion from my own life and filtering it through a different narrative.
Okay.
So lots of what happens to the main character I've never experienced, and the majority, it is fiction, and but it was definitely extremely cathartic for me.
I was reading, I think it was your blog on your website that said when you started working on your book, it was like this, and then it got into like this arduous process.
Yeah.
And so what was that whole...
Well, the editing part is terrible. It's the worst job you can ever have in your entire life. This is by far the hardest job I've ever had, and I have milked cows at 5 o'clock in the morning and shoveled shit and worked at a sorting through recycling, and it's the hardest job by far. And taking this whole huge manuscript and getting out so much of the pedantic preachiness that I have inside of me around issues of being queer and Mennonite and all of that, and writing that all out, reading it, and that's terrible fiction, terrible fiction. And so having to edit it down, and then instead of hitting people over the head with a sledgehammer, trying to tell a story.